What's going on, everyone? From LowKick MMA, my name is Dave Podolsky. I'm joined with Isaac, the Midwest Choppa Dulgarian. He is set to return to the UFC cage on March 16th when he takes on Christian Rodriguez. Isaac, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time.
Yeah, of course, brother. I just been training in training camp, working hard. So, yeah, everything's good out here.
You're about 2 weeks out from your fight. When do you head to Vegas? And how's training been going?
I had to Vegas that Tuesday, a fight week. So I still got, I think, I don't know, like 10 days ish before I leave. But yeah, everything's been good in camp. I've had no injuries. I was sick for a couple weeks, but nothing crazy. So, healthy, and everything's good, man.
Mhm. After your fight with Francis Marshall in your debut, I'm sure, not a lot of people were wanting to fight you after that performance. How did this fight with Christian Rodriguez come together, and how do you feel about the matchup?
Man, I'm not really sure. They shot me a name, and I've been ready to fight since I finished my fight with Francis. I was healthy and ready to go. I wanted to fight one more time in 2023, but it just didn't work out like that. I've been ready, so they threw me the name, and we just jumped on it, man. That's really all there was to it.
Was it frustrating for you trying to find opponents after your UFC debut?
Uh, like I said, I wanted to fight, and they just didn't offer me any. So that's how it goes. I'm not really in a position where I get to pick right now. I have to win a couple more fights before I can do that. But I think a good performance against Christian kind of grants me that opportunity to pick and choose.
When you first got to the UFC, it was in 2021, but then we didn't see you till last year. You looked fantastic in your debut. We're getting you here at the start of 2024. Are you hoping to be more busy this calendar year?
Definitely, I want three fights this year. I have my daughter come in like 2 weeks after I fight, so I'm gonna kind of take a couple months off in the summer and then try to get back on, August and then November, December again. So hopefully three fights this year, hopefully three good performances and keep climbing up.
Yeah, well, congrats to you on the new baby coming. And how has that kind of changed, training a little bit, or not even training, but like knowing that okay, after this fight, I'm gonna be a dad, and that kind of changes, just the mindset a little bit.
Well, it's a big life change, but it's something that I've always looked forward to. I've always wanted to have a child that's able to comprehend what I do before I retire. And at 27 years old, the I'm only going to be fighting until hopefully I'm 35 at the latest. So my daughter will be old enough to understand what I do and be able to be there and stuff. So that's what I've always wanted. So I'm super excited about it. Also gives me a little extra motivation just to push a little harder. I got to put food on the table now. There's really no option.
I know you mentioned that, she's due a few months, or sorry, a few weeks after the fight. I know you mentioned wanting to take out the summer, although I was gonna ask because you are originally from Kansas and the UFC is going to St. Louis in May. I know it's Missouri, but kind of close to Kansas. Is that a card you're hoping to get on?
You know, I I would if they gave me the right name and the right opportunity, I would definitely take it. I don't really know why they're going to St. Louis though. Nobody really wants to go to St. Louis. It's all about Kansas City, man. So uh they should definitely come back to Kansas City and I'll draw a huge crowd. I'll draw a huge crowd in St. Louis too, but it's just a different city than Kansas City. So I think it's great they're coming to the Midwest. I think Midwest has a lot of great fighters and a lot of great fans as well. So I'm just happy that they're coming back around the area.
Yeah, certainly. I know you're from Kansas, so and St. Louis is the other side of Missouri, but I tend to believe, the crowd would get behind you if you were to get on that card in St. Louis.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I got fans everywhere, even out on the Missouri side. So no doubt, I would pack that arena out.
Looking back, or sorry, going back to your fight coming up, have you gone to watch the footage on Christian Rodriguez? What stands out to you, and what do you think gives you the advantage over him?
Yeah, I've watched him. I actually watched him live for most of his fights because I watched about every card, so I remember watching him. He's good everywhere, man. He doesn't really have a lot of holes in his game. Great striking, good ground control, good jiu-jitsu, good wrestling. So the holes that I see are I just think that I'm better in all those positions. He's not gonna give me nothing. I'm gonna have to take it from him. He's tough, and I just think that, like I said, I'm better everywhere, and I guess we're gonna have to prove that. March 16th.
You know, you're training up in Colorado at Factory X. How's that been going? You know, who are your main training partners for this camp?
Oh, definitely. I love it out here. It was hard switching gyms, but since I've been out here, I made lots of friendships, lots of good coaching and everything. So everything's good. I've been training a lot with Yusuf Zalal. I train with him every single day. Such a great striker, such great jujitsu. He just got his black belt actually, and I think he deserved it a long time ago. So he's right at that level. We've been kind of feeding off each other. He's been helping me with the striking. I've been helping him with the wrestling, and so I train with him a lot. Chris Gutierrez, Markel Maderos, David Onama. All these top guys that are really really good. I get to train with, so it's a great spot for me.
Yeah, and Factory X just picked up a big win last weekend. Brandon Royval, defeating Brandon Moreno in enemy territory in Mexico. What does
Yeah.
that do, A, for you seeing like one of your teammates put on a performance like that, but also just for kind of the morale of the gym, knowing that one of your teammates just picked up, one of the biggest wins of his career.
Oh man, we're one of the best gyms on the planet. We have such great talent here. So it's no surprise, all it does is synergy, man. It's it's motivation, it's everything. It kind of pushes us to go do more great things. I see him do it. I know I can do it. I train with him every day. So as well. So like I'm like, he beat Brandon Moreno. I'm that level too, so I can do these great things. So it's just good knowing that my teammates and my practice partners are able to go do these big things at the biggest stage in the world. And I feel like I'm next.
Yeah, and before you trained at Factory X, you were at Glory. How has that transition gone for you? And is there one advantage that you'd say from having switched gyms that you can take away from being at Factory X?
Factory has a little bit better striking. The team has a lot better striking as a whole. So I think that's the biggest thing. The transition was hard though, because I had to switch my home. I had to buy an RV to come out here because price of housing out here is absolutely ridiculous. It's about 2 times as expensive as it is in Kansas City. So that was the biggest change. I had to change my whole life. I had my whole life in Kansas City, and then I had to move it out here on literally like 12 hours notice. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I like it out here. Kansas City's always going to be my home. Whenever I'm home, I go train. I can't train at Glory due to their restrictions, but I get to train at Ignite MMA, which head coach Zach Cummings and Jason High teach out there. So it's a good place. I still love going back there and training. It's just there's not the level of guys I need right now. Not saying there's not good guys out there, but there's just not enough.
I do want to ask because I know you were training with James Krause. He obviously is under investigation for gambling. Um, have you been in contact with Krause at all? And is there any update you can provide on that?
No, I'm not supposed to be in contact with them. All I really got to say on that is that man's done nothing wrong to me, so I don't really care what he did gambling or anything. He's never done me wrong. He's a great man to me, so that's really all my input on that. If anyone has anything negative to say about him, that's your opinion and your life experience. I wouldn't really care if he robbed a bank. He hasn't done nothing wrong to me, so I don't really care what he's done or anything else. He's been great to me, great to everyone of my teammates that know him and stuff like that. So he's a great guy, regardless of what he got himself into.
If you're comfortable answering, when that all first went down, you're training, with James Krause at Glory. When that whole situation first played out, as someone like yourself who had been training with James Krause at Glory, what was that situation like when it was first unfolding?
It's just lame, bro, because I had my UFC debut originally scheduled with Dan Argueta, and I show up at the gym one day and they tell me I can't train there. So I literally had to come out here to Factory X within 12 hours. I was 4 weeks out from my UFC debut, and you tell me I can't train at my gym. This is my home. So that was the biggest thing about that. Yeah, man, it was just lame to me. I was like, until he's been convicted of anything, I don't really know all the details of what went down. All I know is I'm just not supposed to be there. But unless he's been convicted of anything, I don't see why I can't be there. That's my biggest thing. But that's the rules. That's the rules I have to play by. So that's how it is.
Well, I appreciate you, being open and honest about the James Crown situation. I know for you, it's got to be, an uncomfortable situation seeing, your coach getting caught up in kind of a, what do you call it? I guess an allegation of sorts as that all played out. So I appreciate you being open and
Yeah,
honest
of
about that. Uh,
course.
Switching gears, looking at your division, that bantamweight division, massive fight coming up next weekend. Cheeto Vera rematching Sugar Sean O'Malley for the title. How do you see that fight playing out?
Man, I mean, I think Cheeto might have his number. I think Sean's probably a little bit better striker, a little, a little more sharp, I should say. But I think Cheeto is kind of ahead of him. Like we watched the first fight, and Cheeto kind of beat the shit out of him. So you know how that goes. He's already beat him once. He can definitely do it again. So yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Cheeto win, but it's not a big deal either way. Once I make the 135, I think it's a wrap for all those guys. So that's just how it is.
I was about to say, I just realized I made a mistake because your last fight was at 45. This fight coming up is at 45. In my mind, C Rod had been at
Yeah, yeah.
35. He's moving up to 45. So my mistake on that one. But you mentioned, do you see yourself going down to 35 in the future?
Yeah, eventually, I did the DEXA scan up at the PI. They said I could. It's just a hard cut.
Mhm.
I'm not huge at 45, but I can hold my own against the big bodies. So it's not really a big deal. But I just know if I want to be in the top 15, like this year, 35 is the way to go. I know I can be there. I train with guys in the top 15 here at Factory X, and I hold my own just fine. So I think it's definitely possible. It's just a big lifestyle change, and
Mhm.
I like to eat. I'm a foodie. I I like to eat healthy and clean, but also I like to enjoy myself. So at 45, I can kind of have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, fair enough. And anyways, my apologies on the weight class. And I'm seeing, I love the shirt. You're repping the Midwest Choppin'. You got the beanie on. Is that, now that's your brand. Obviously, you're the Midwest Choppin'. That's your nickname. Is that a brand that you're looking to sell, or is that, just your own shirt?
No, I sold these shirts last year and before my Francis Marshall fight. I think I'm done with these ones. I'm gonna drop some new models here soon, a different colorway and stuff. It's gonna be pretty sick, and a different emblem patch type deal. So it's all high quality stuff. For anyone who's bought my merch or anything like that, it's the finest in the game.
Mhm.
I don't slack. That's why the price tag is expensive. I think these are like $65, but I'm not really making any money on those. That really goes to the product. Making the best product I can to kind of get my name out there, rep my stuff. Everybody in Kansas City's got one that likes MMA, so it's a pretty good deal. And like I said, we're dropping new colorways, new gear. Hopefully, get some tracksuits out and stuff like that here soon. So it's just right now I can't do it because I'm in fight camp. So that's a lot of work for me to get all that organized.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. I love to hear. I always love to see, the fighters kind of branding themselves out, but especially for someone like, I mean, you're 6-0, you're 27, your fight career is still very much ahead of you, and yet you've got this chance here to really kind of make a name for yourself and kind of, 6-0, all, coming off this finish with Francis Marshall. You get a win over C-Rod, you got to be looking at this as a chance to really kind of up your stock and up your star power in the UFC.
Definitely, man. C-Rod's got a lot of hype. He beat Rosas and Saman. Of course, those guys are young. They're like 20, 23, and 18 years old. So I don't really put a lot. I don't really put a lot on that. He kind of Rosas kind of got the silver spoon. Because he's young, and Saman hasn't really fought anybody either. So, it is what it is. They got a lot of hype for no reason. Just that's what the UFC wanted to push. But they're gonna have to push me with the win over C-Rod.
Mhm. And then you're the card that you're fighting on, obviously at the Apex, two heavyweights in that main event, Tai Tuivasa and Marcin Tybura. Who wins that fight?
Hopefully Tui and I can do a shoey with them. We'll see. We'll see. I'm only doing it with a clean shoe though. I'm not dirty like him. I can't do that.
Hey, I think that'd be a good combination there. The Midwest Choppa and Bam Bam doing the shoeies together.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Um, and then just looking ahead, obviously you're 6-0, fought last year, looked phenomenal against Francis Marshall. If all goes well and you beat Christian Rodriguez, what are your goals for the end of 2024? I know you got daughter on the way and you mentioned interest in the St. Louis card, but by the end of 2024, where do you see yourself? What are people going to be saying about Isaac Dulgarian?
I just want everyone to see my style is exciting. Everyone wants to see stand up mixed martial arts. They don't like it when you mix your martial arts, which is kind of funny. All the fans. So I hope they find my style exciting. I'm a grappler at heart, but I can strike. I will probably see that against C-Rod. He's not anything to be taken lightly, but I cause damage, and if you look at my resume, I'm able to cause a lot of a whole fight's worth of damage in a couple minutes. So hopefully I can just continue to do that against the highest level guys, put on great performances, exciting performances, win a couple bonuses, and, just have a good spot, have my name, household name. Like everybody wants to see me fight. That's the biggest thing for me is just getting more experience. And then eventually, I think probably next year or the year after, we'll try to make a little title run. We just got to string these wins together and gain more experience.
Yeah, well, definitely I can attest to wanting to see more Isaac Dulgarian in the cage. And, for you, this will be, your first two UFC fights will be at that UFC Apex. What's the experience like for you at the Apex? I know you mentioned St. Louis, but I'm sure eventually you're going to want to get back in front of the fans and not be on these Apex cards.
Oh, I definitely want to be in an arena. I think this fight right here is worthy to be in an arena. Apex is fine. It doesn't really bother me. It doesn't affect me in any type of way. The biggest thing is you don't get as much exposure at the Apex as you do at a live event. So that's my biggest thing. I want to get the exposure. I want to get the fans and the excitement up. I want to feel all that. So yeah, that's the biggest thing, man. I just want to fight, win, and then hopefully my next fight is in an arena.
Awesome. Well, Isaac, I'm wishing you the best of luck. And just my final question, man. March 16th, Isaac Dulgarian, Christian Rodriguez. Isaac, give me your official prediction.
It's either going to be there's going to go one of three ways, man. It's going to be Isaac Dulgarian first round finish, Isaac Dulgarian boring decision, Christian Rodriguez boring decision. I think I can finish the fight. It all depends on him. If he wants to fight, then I'll probably finish. If he wants to stall and take his time and be methodical like he does in a lot of his fights, then I think it might become a boring decision, and we get the win and walk on to the next fight.
Fair enough. Well, Isaac, I'm wishing you the best of luck. Platform is yours. If there are any sponsors, teammates, people you want to shout out, socials, go right ahead.
Yeah, you guys can follow me, Isaac Dulgarian, on Instagram. And then sponsors wise, Burn Factory Podcast. Those guys help me out a lot. My Fit Foods, they've been helping me with my nutrition. And then Matt Rogers' books. He's the #1 bestseller author out of Australia. I read one of his books. My girl read one of his books. My grandma read the same book. Kind of passed that book around the family. It's great. And he just signed a new deal. So he's got big things coming. And, I'm going to represent him on the way.
Awesome. Well, Isaac, I'm wishing you the best of luck. Guys, Isaac, the Midwest Choppa Dulgarian returns to the cage on March 16th. He faces Christian Rodriguez. This is going to be an incredible fight. You will not want to miss it. Isaac, thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck to you, my friend.
Of course, brother. I appreciate it.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.